Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 162 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Nick, Joey, and Ben. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great, ready to go over our last of the burning questions.
Yeah, we're knocking on the door of opening night. I can't wait to get this episode started. Can't wait to get the season started.
Absolutely crazy to think that this is technically the final podcast of the off season. If you really think about it, our next podcast is going to come out on Tuesday for
Can we clap it up
opening
for the
night.
final pod of the preseason? Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
It was a great offseason, fellas.
Yeah, I think we've done a great job during this offseason getting talking about different things for you guys. But today we actually have a packed episode. Of course, we have our final five burning questions, including our NBA Finals predictions. And we also have a bunch of other news to go over as well. Some late offseason free agency pickups here that we will get into here in this episode. But to begin things off, we're going to go to POELTL. So, Nick, where are we going to start off with for today?
I'm going to start with one of my forgotten NBA guys. Been in the league for a few years, hopped around from the Clippers, and is now on the Timberwolves. Bones Highland. If this whole Rob Dillingham thing doesn't work out, I'd love to see Bones Highland get some run in Minnesota this year. Wow,
Okay.
good start. 77?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Is he the number 77?
That's a terrible jersey.
Would not have picked him if I knew he had changed his number to 77.
Wow. But either way, what we do know is that this is an Eastern Conference younger player that is not a guard. So this really could be a lot of different players like Alex Sarr.
Matas Buzelis.
Yeah, Matas Buzelis. Haven't we had him recently?
I believe we did, or at least we tried.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I mean, right now we kind of gotta pick someone to try to get to just the other conference here. I mean, what do you guys think?
How do you guys feel about Paolo?
Oh, true. We could go Paolo.
I mean, that kind of covers the forward position, and then right in that age range, we'll get a new height.
Paolo's good. I'm trying to think strategically. So Paolo's number 5. We could go with him. We could also go like Alex Sarr, the first guy I mentioned, because if he's the number 20, so he's kind of a nice middle ground of like figuring out like if he's between 5 and 20 or just a big number that isn't 77.
Sure.
Cool.
Well, we'll try it out. Alex Sarr from the Washington Wizards, and he is exactly 20 years old, and he is a forward. As Joey leaves us here for a little bit, that is going to be 6'10" or smaller. That wears a smaller jersey number, so this is going to be a rookie or sophomore player, it looks like.
Right off the bat, we're in the East. Oh, man, I'm going back to Buzelis.
It does go back to Buzelis.
Maybe.
Yeah, 6'10", 20 years old. Shoot, man. I think it might be worth a try, but I feel like we got him like a few episodes ago.
The POELTL does not remember. The POELTL does not have the memory. That's one of the many tricks of the POELTL.
Yeah.
What if this is another, or he may not be 20. I was thinking a Knicks boy, Jarris Walker, but it's going to be younger than that.
There's my boy. I'd be fine with either Buzelis or Walker. We could go with another Walker, Jacoby Walter.
Oh, well, Walter, except he's a guard.
He's a guard
for the Raptors. Okay, do we want to go Buzelis?
It's a young guy.
He is a young guy.
I can't really think of anyone else now.
Joey, welcome back. We're going to Buzelis. We're going with Buzelis.
Again, we'll see. We'll see where this gets us. Matas Buzelis.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh, he's already 21. Okay, so 6'9" or 6'8" forward in the Atlantic Division that is 20 years old and wears 11 or smaller, so most likely a single-digit jersey number. So who's a young guy across the board? Like
in the Atlantic, Brandon Miller, but he's probably older than 20.
Yeah,
that's Southeast.
That he's Southeast. So the Atlantic. This is the Celtics, Raptors, Nets, 76ers, or the New York Knicks.
What number is Grady Dick?
14. Unless
he's not even close to 6'9" or 6'8". Never mind. Not even close to the height.
Oh, yeah, so it has to be a forward.
Colin Murray Boyles, maybe?
Yeah, like, could it be a rookie?
Could
He
be.
could very well be a rookie. I don't mind that guess, Ben. We could
He's
try out.
Yeah, because he's a second year. He was the first freshman or first sophomore picked in this year's draft. So he's a year older than the rookie class 18, 19-year-olds.
Okay.
We want to try him?
I'm cool with
I
that.
like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going with our first rookie guess here on POELTL here. Let's see. Colin Murray. Boyle's no good. Oh my gosh. I thought you had it there, Ben, but unfortunately no good. And
Almost
unfortunately,
surely a second-year guy.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we didn't get really any further on that one. Let's see. I mean, Brooklyn has so many rookies.
Yeah.
New York, Philadelphia.
Brooklyn, New York, Philadelphia, Boston. And who's the last team out in the Atlantic?
Gonzalez?
Hugo Gonzalez?
Hugo
yeah.
Gonzalez on the
maybe
Celtics.
him. I don't know.
I think he's the number 28.
Yeah,
it's not bad though. Not. Like guessing these rookies, it isn't bad. Like Bacome Dadier from the Knicks, second-year player.
I was thinking of him too. I just couldn't get Bacome Dadier out of my mouth.
Never heard of that person in my life.
From France. I mean, it's worth a try, I think. I believe he is a single-digit guy.
Miles, you're great with the numbers. I'm good with Bacome.
That might be wrong. All right, let's try it though. At this point, we got to just try to get him down. It's
nice.
Oh, yes.
Bacome Dadier, the Frenchman for the Knicks. Wow. Let us know how long it took you guys to get Bacome Dadier. Getting it in 5. I think that's pretty good work for it being an end-of-the-bench guy. So, good job, guys.
I think we were 5 guesses under 6 minutes to Bacome Dadier is a solid round of POELTL in my book.
I've never heard of the guy, so I'm glad you guys did.
That's up there with the Jalen Clarks of all-time POELTL gets. Absolutely.
Hey, you do it every week. You're gonna get some of those once in a while.
Heck yeah, I gotta get some of those under the bench guys. But now let's get into some of these news stories because we do have some news here before the season here. I guess let's start with the biggest name here, talking about Trae Young with the Atlanta Hawks. We've kind of talked about this storyline over the last few months of the offseason. The Hawks have had one of the best off seasons in the entire league, arguably the best in the Eastern Conference. We're all pretty high on the Atlanta Hawks to some degree. But the one thing they were not able to figure out was an extension with Trae Young, as it was reported that they will not agree to an extension before this season where Trae Young can get out of the contract after the season. He has a $49 million player option following the season. So, Ben, starting off with you, what is your reaction to this report that the Hawks and Trae Young, we're not going to get an extension from them before this big season begins?
It's an interesting report, as I think the Hawks will be able to compete this year. And I guess, Trae Young would hope to stay at Atlanta. I think he's happy about, him having what is looking like to be the best team he's ever going to have around him so far in Atlanta this year. I just think there's got to be something with the money, the contract thing that they're in a disagreement over, and that's why something isn't done yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's something along those lines. I mean, we've talked about it before how Trae Young has kind of, with the Atlanta Hawks and with Trae Young's tenure there, they haven't built the greatest teams around him. So it's kind of hard to tell if Trae Young can be the most winning player on the floor here. But now the Hawks have built, again, like you said, Ben, the best team probably that they've ever built around Trae Young with all those defenders, with the shooting around him. So it'll be interesting to see this season if Trae Young can lead the Hawks, to have a great regular season, potentially a great playoff appearance, and then get signed long-term going forward.
I'm just glad he got his Cricket Tea promo out in time before the season started, because you gotta get that. You gotta get those clicks. Gotta get those clicks. And copying LeBron's decision is a great way to do that. Like I said in the pre-pod lobby, I almost sent you guys the post that he put out where it's like big decision coming tomorrow. It was a little teaser thing, and then it was right on the heels of the LeBron Hennessy promo. So I'm like, let me not bother these guys so late. And it turned out that he just wanted to promote his new cricket tee that we're now talking about on the podcast. So well done, Trey. You made it work. As far as the contract thing, I talked about it in a couple episodes ago. Like when it's a question in your mind whether or not the most important thing is to take care of you and the people around you, and when that's a question that's left unanswered, 12 months from now, that those things show up on the court from time to time. It's just a human element that you have to take into account. And like Ben, you said, like the Hawks have a really good squad this year. They have a great chance, and it would be a misstep for this to hang over Trey and limit their potential and what should be a really great year for them.
Yeah, and something that's super interesting with this situation, Joey, is that in the modern NBA, with the way that the CBA works, is that at this point we don't really see a whole lot of star players enter free agency. Usually there are extensions with their contract, and we could potentially be in a situation where the Atlanta Hawks, their two best players, could be free agents this upcoming season. So how do you think, like Nick said, that can weigh on players' minds on the floor? Do you think that could be a positive for this Atlanta Hawks team, that those guys have something to play for?
That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm trying to put a positive spin on it because it is very much like, ooh, you don't know how that much belief and stuff, like they can get really in their head and stuff. But I think it's a pretty smart decision for everybody, like for Trae Young, who, if this doesn't happen to work out, and even though you have this whole team around, you can get out of there and go to a contender. And same thing for the Hawks, like as a whole, like if this doesn't work out and this is the best squad they put around Trae Young to get him a winner, they can try to move on from him. They can try to blow it all up. They still got a lot of good young talent, and then they can build around that and kind of just go back into a rebuild. But it's going to suck, but you really just got to know. So I think it's kind of good for both sides. Trae Young could play out. Is it Jalen Johnson, the other guy?
Porzingis.
Oh, Porzingis. Oh, yeah. So, no, Porzingis, especially for Porzingis as well. Like, if both of those guys show out, they compete, they're a top seed in the East, I guarantee you they're going to try to bring both of those guys back to run it back, and because all their young guys are still developing. But if it doesn't work out, they can just do clean slate. You guys go find a new contender, and we'll go into our own direction. It'll be a nice – I feel like a mutual departure if it comes to that. I don't think it will. I think it'll be more of the motivation. They're playing for their contracts and to compete, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I don't think that there will be a departure, especially from Trae Young with Atlanta, but you never know if things don't work out with this Hawks team because, again, like we keep saying, I mean, this team just looks to be really scary on paper. I mean, on this podcast, we're all pretty, big believers of this Hawks team. I know Ben is the only one that has them a little bit lower, but even then, we all have them as playoff locks in this Eastern Conference. So we all, think they're going to do pretty well. If they can't reach that mark, then you never know what could happen. So I think that this year is going to be a trial run, really, for Trae Young to prove that he can lead this franchise to be, back to, contentionship, or if they ever were. For the first time in a long time, because even in their conference finals run back in 2021, they were the 4th seed. There really weren't a lot of crazy expectations heading into the season. So this is probably, besides the first, like, DeJounte Murray season, this is probably the most expectations that the Hawks have had since, they had the 4 All-Stars, 60-win teams, 10 years ago, or if they were ever a contender in the Joe Johnson, like those teams. Like, this is first time the Hawks have expectations heading into a season like this. So I'm excited to see how it works out for those star players.
Agreed.
Next little bit of news here. Let's go to one of Joey's favorite teams, the Sacramento Kings, who after a long offseason of speculation signed Russell Westbrook. We nearly went into a season where Russell Westbrook was not going to have a job with an NBA team. But here, less than a week before the regular season starts, he agrees to sign a 1-year deal with the Kings. there in Sacramento. And then we also got news either the same day or the day after that they are going to sign Keegan Murray to a 5-year, $140 million extension there for the Kings. So the Kings, Nick, a team that we talked about in our standings, predictions, have a lot of guys, but can it all come together to actually be something? Can they come together to actually have winning basketball happen? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a ton from the Kings this year. It took Joey pulling on my heartstrings just for them to get into my play-in picture in my Western Conference predictions. But with that being said, I did like the two moves that came through the wire this week. I think Keegan Murray on a 5-year, $140 million deal has a chance to be a really good bargain for Sacramento. If he can up his production in the way that we've talked about on the pod. Miles, I know you're a big fan of Keegan Murray. Had a great rookie or sophomore season and then just took a bit of a step back last year. But if he can regain that momentum, like that could be a really good looking contract in year 2 or 3 of it when he's only making a small percentage of the cap for the production that you get out of him. And then Russ, yeah, my big question is what the locker room feel is after that news comes through. Like, are the guys happy about getting a vet who is ringless, or are they like, oh, Russ is going to steal the show and he's just going to be sort of like the I don't want to use the word cancer, but that's kind of what he's been. He's been like the odd man out in the last couple teams that he's been on, where it's like he can be a wild card where he has great production, but then he also just shoots the entire team in the foot sometimes. And like we saw in Denver's playoff series last year. So my initial thought was like, what's the reaction like inside the locker room of the Kings? How are those players feeling? I obviously don't know the answer to that question, but just something to think about.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, I was wondering the same thing, but it actually was reported that Levine, DeRozan, and Sabonis, 3 best players for the Kings, were all pushing for this to happen, which is very, very interesting, Joey, especially a team that, they still have Malik Monk, who had a, very good year last year, and they go out and sign Dennis Schroeder, another point guard, and then they get Russell Westbrook again. So I know there were kind of reports that this could be the possibility the whole summer. But in my mind, I'm like, how is this all going to work with all those guards there? Like, who's going to start? Who's going to come off the bench? Who's going to be the odd man out in the lineup? What do you think is going to happen? Or I guess, what are your initial reactions to Westbrook going to the Kings, and how do you think they'll try to run things?
Yeah, well, like Nick said, it's another ringless vet to add to this collection of ringless vets that they got going on in Sacramento. I don't see it's going to work. I know Nick also said I pulled on his heartstrings, but it was also a lot of inner contemplation of me putting them on my playing squad because this it's not good. I don't know what direction they're going. Their cap space is non-existent. Like, I don't even know what it's at, but it's not. They don't have a whole lot of room. Keegan Murray, I know you said you like it. I don't like the deal. His efficiency, he came in shooting 41%, and his three-point percentage has dipped every single year the last 2 years. And he's already hurt to start the year. He's going to be out for now a month or two. Is it? Miles, do you know?
Yes, around that mark. I mean, it adds to it. I mean, this, you mentioned the cap situation being bad. This doesn't help to it.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know what they're going to do at point guard. I saw Russell Westbrook picked the most ugliest jersey number in the history of everything at number 18. I hate that. But I don't know. I just don't know. If anybody follows the Bill Simmons podcast, I saw a clip that I sent to Miles on TikTok of Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe talking about it. And it's exactly how every Sacramento fan should feel, because he absolutely just unloads on the Sacramento Kings about being just the dumbest franchise possible. And I can't really argue against it. because I just don't see the vision.
Dark horse for the 2025-2026 GFF.
Oh my!
I don't
Not
know.
even a dark horse.
I don't know
Probably
if
a favorite. Probably
Well,
a
I was gonna
favorite
say,
right now.
I don't even think it's a dark horse right now at the moment because Ben, this has the potential to be a very comedic season there, but also like again, I don't think there are that many expectations for the Kings heading into the season, despite having these big names. Besides, like I don't know if you saw Ben on Bleacher Report, they posted on like Instagram, they posted on social media like, look at this top 7, top 8 players. Oh my gosh, could they do something in the Western Conference? But I don't think besides that, I don't think they have many crazy expectations. So, what do you think about the watchability of this Kings team? Because I think there could be potential for them to still be a fun watch.
Yeah, I think they could be a pretty fun watch team and a good fun League Pass watch team. Some people say about fun watch teams. And with the Westbrook move, it's interesting. I mean, it's telling me with what I'm seeing with the Kings is that they're just trying to compete and win is what they're trying to do with this team. And well, I think you know they'll get some good wins on some nights with some pretty good offensive performances. But like I've said before, I don't think they're a great team and aren't gonna go a whole lot too far, even with them trying to compete. But Westbrook will be a solid addition there. But like, uh, it's a questionable move. I don't love the move because they're in a bad position with their salary cap now, and then they gave Keegan Murray that extension, which the guy shoots a good potential before, but he hasn't really blown me away at all so far with anything. And I'm gonna agree with Joey. I think that's just too much for Keegan Murray. I'm not a big fan of that for the Kings. So yeah, I don't know what in the world the Kings are doing, but maybe they'll prove us wrong. Who knows?
Miles, what did you think about the Murray deal? I know you're a Murray guy a little bit.
I mean, it's another one of those things. It's kind of similar to the Jabari Smith Jr. Signing with the Rockets, where it's a lot of money for a guy that hasn't really proven that he's worth it yet. So
Right.
I don't know how much I like that, especially like Joey, you said Keegan Murray had a great rookie season, a record-breaking rookie season with the three-point shooting, and then it's gone down to like 35-34% the last 2 years. I'm just not, that's just not that great. I mean, for the Westbrook signing, I think that'll be good, and the Dennis Schroeder signing because for Keegan Murray, because he'll be able to get more open shots because both of those guys are very good playmakers. But again, like with their cap situation, I'm just not sure if it's the smartest move to sign him to that big of a contract. I mean, who knows? Maybe he can have a bounce back season and it will become more of a bargain. But at the same time, now bringing in Westbrook and Schroeder, and you have Levine, DeRozan, and Sabonis there that all need the ball. Keegan Murray, he's on a 5-year, $140 million contract, and he's basically just there to catch and shoot threes. Like he's not going to do anything else. And for a lot of other teams, you can find that for a lot cheaper, across the league. So I'm not a huge fan of the contract. The Westbrook signing, I think it gets very misconstrued. Like Russell Westbrook is still good. Like he had a good season last year for Denver. He's not a bad player. It's just it's the Russell Westbrook experience. Like sometimes he'll do a lot of great things, like we saw in Game 7 against the Clippers in the first round, and then he'll do some things to shoot you in the foot. Like some games in the Thunder series. And it's not even just a game by game thing. Sometimes it's a possession by possession thing. Like, which is another reason why the Kings are just going to be entertaining. So they could definitely be a candidate for the most entertaining train wreck of the season.
There's a new award.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see how it shakes out. I think it'll be fun.
I saw that post you were talking about, Miles. It was like, who's stopping this team? One of the top comments was the Clippers bench.
Second unit for the LA Clippers.
I mean, heck, they basically did. They literally played in the preseason and like a couple days ago, and I believe that happened. Like,
Who's
Yeah,
stopping this
exactly.
squad? Their defensive rating.
yeah, their defensive rating, absolutely. Last little bit of news here. Unfortunate injury news coming out of Detroit with Jaden Ivey undergoing arthroscopic right knee surgery to take care of some soreness in that knee, reevaluated in 4 weeks. Ben, you here on the podcast are the biggest believer of the Pistons as far as the regular season. You had them in your top 3. I guess what is your reaction to this injury, and what effect do you think this could have on at least their start to the season?
Yeah, it'll make things tougher to start the season because they won't have like like the best like second scoring guy to the King Cunningham to start the year at least. But I mean, my expectations for the Pistons are that they're still going to be pretty good and a tough team to beat on nights. Not like he's going to be out for too long, but yeah, it's a bummer to start the year. It's a bummer that they won't be able to get that chemistry going with him right away to start the year. But I mean, yeah, it's just fortunate that Ivy, suffered another injury. It's just tough injury luck once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, Joe, you guys have any other thoughts on this? I mean, it's an injury. It's unfortunate. like,
Yeah, I had hopes for Jaden Ivey to be that second scoring option and have a good year because he did play well last year before his injury. But I guess it's a really good thing that they signed Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert because they're going to need those 2 guys to step up big now.
Yeah, I just hope he can make it back soon and get on the court when it really matters the most towards the end of the regular season.
Agreed.
yeah. So we'll see who starts in his place because they could go with Robinson or LeVert. So JB Bickerstaff will have a lot of things that he can work with there. But again, it reevaluated in 4 weeks. In the Eastern Conference may not be that big of a deal, to start off the season. And they did play well without him, obviously, in their incredible year last year. But prayers up to Jaden Ivey, for a speedy recovery. That's it for all those little news stories. Now, let's get into our final 5 burning questions of the preseason. So, Ben, you're the one doubling up here today. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so the first question for today is, well, talk more about the Pistons. We're just talking more about them. My question is, who's going to be the better 3-point shooting team, Magic or Pistons?
Can I go with neither?
Can I choose a third option?
It's like they get the same percentage so here, how are we doing this? Is this based off of like makes or percentage? How are you guys going about this question?
I'm just going more so about, making them more often, basically.
I would have to right off the bat say the Pistons, and I would make my case mostly based around Cade Cunningham. I think him dominating the ball opens up the floor for his shooters like we saw last year. And even though Beasley, Hardaway, and Schroeder all moved on to new opportunities, I think Duncan Robinson is going to have a high value, get a very high volume of shots, and he's a great shooter. And I just like sort of the continuity that I saw in Detroit last year with Cade leading the way more than I like that more than the doubts I have about the Magic, because I hear Jalen Suggs is still a pretty, he had surgery months ago and he's not ready to go. So that's a really big question mark for the Magic, and him not having the ball leaves questions about their point guard play, and having Paolo run that offense hasn't been the most efficient thing, and they haven't had good 3-point shooting with the situation that they still have. All they did was add Desmond Bane, and yeah, he's a great shooter and should help their offense be a little bit more efficient. But I would have to go with Detroit, honestly, just based on how much Cade opens up the floor for everybody.
Yeah, I'd echo what Nick said. What do you, Joey, Ben? What do you guys think?
I'm going to go Orlando, actually. And I'm really going to put a hot take. I think
Kick him out.
Wagner is going to shoot above 30% from 3 this year.
There he goes. Yep, he can rejoin.
Losing joy there. He was starting to go with Orlando. Ben, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I had a tough time with my own question here, but I wanted a question that would give a good debate, so I like it. But I had to pick one team, and I picked the Pistons, who I've been believing in, and I think Keith Cunningham will help open up the floor there, and Duncan Robinson, him being back in Michigan on the Pistons, I think just getting a fresh start on a new team will help him shoot the ball pretty well from free there. And I think when Jaden Ivey comes back from injury, I still believe he'll shoot the ball for free well at times.
41% before he got hurt last year.
Yeah,
Ivy.
Karis LeVert, I mean, he's not the best 3-point shooter, more so like a slasher, but he could knock down a few at times, as we've seen before. So, yeah, I picked Detroit.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Joe went with the Magic, but he's not here to make his case, so the answer is Detroit.
It sounded like he was going to have some predictions for some guys to shoot above, higher than normal from three there. So if he can join back in here, I'm interested to hear about that one. But yeah, I think the Pistons, because Cade can open up those shooters, and there are more proven shooters on the Pistons than the Magic. Of course, this question is for, two Eastern Conference teams that are looking to be real contenders that just don't have the best pedigree from 3-point land heading into the season. But all of us here say the Pistons. Of course, Joey going with the Orlando Magic. Let's roll right along here. Nick, what question do you have for us today?
Well, I'll go with Joey's. I'll fill in for Joey, and I'll ask his question. He had a real stumper for us, and well, he was going to make a case for why this team will make the postseason. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like we're going to be able to make that case, because I don't know what he was going to say for this. His question is, is there any way that the Brooklyn Nets can sneak into the play-in or the postseason?
Well, guess what? We're in luck, because Joey, the man himself, is back to make his case. Joey, is there any chance that the Brooklyn Nets make the postseason? Why did you bring up this?
I got it all set up for you, bud. Here's your stage.
It. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I'm really sorry about that, guys. But I'm glad
good.
I made it right now. I don't know. I really believe in their head coach. I like Jordi Fernandez a lot. I think he's going to be great. And if they can hit, there is a possibility they hit on 2 or 3 of their rookies. And if they do that, the East is really weak. Everything goes their way. There's a chance.
Well, last year they did come out of the gates strong and winning more games than they have one of the closest to record-setting lowest win totals predictions going into last year, and they're right in that conversation again. But they had almost 30 wins last year because Jordy came out and was competing, and he was hungry to get those guys some wins. But that was right before the front office said, nope, shut it down. We're going to draft 5 rookies.
Yeah.
So what makes you think that wouldn't repeat this year?
I don't know. Like I said, I in my prediction when we did the East standings, I had the Nets not even winning 15 games. I'm just saying there is a chance that they possibly sneak into that 10. And the fact that we all could be overlooking it, or that everyone's overlooking it, is insane.
There's also a chance that when I jump off a 30-story balcony, I grow wings and don't splat. But there's a chance.
There is a chance. There was a chance the Guardians were going to come back from 15 back in the AL Central and win the whole thing, and look what happened.
Yeah, the problem, the Nets don't have any incentive to be good. That's the problem. That last season when they started off strong, Nick, you said the front office shut it down by drafting the player. That started back in the season when they traded away all of their experienced veteran players, trading Dennis Schroeder, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson out in the offseason, and now their veterans are Michael Porter, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, and Terrence Mann.
And that's the thing. Michael Porter is a very hot commodity. Possibly could get that first All-Star bid. He's that leader of that team. He could be possibly 25 to 30 points a game for that Brooklyn Nets team.
Hey, look, back in the first episode ever of this podcast, you said the same thing about Jordan Poole, Joey. So
my track record is not great. I'll admit that.
because people were going crazy about Jordan Poole. Cause it's a similar thing, right? Role player that had a big role on a championship team, not getting a chance to show what he can do as a higher option. And my prediction is still not a whole lot of wins. Not a whole lot of wins.
No, I also don't predict them to do that. I don't know.
That'd be incredible. Those lower teams in the Eastern Conference. We talked about the Nets, but like the Hornets and the Wizards, I know we like what the Wizards are doing. Hornets have a lot of talent, but just not a whole lot of proven winners. Any chance that they could make the surprise jump that Joey was trying to talk about with the Brooklyn Nets? Is there any chance? Like, if you had to put a number on it, a percentage on it, what would you guys put, like, for either the Hornets or the Wizards to, let's just say, win like 30 to 35 games?
I put it between 10 and 20% that one of the three teams can win over 30 games.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are going to get 30 games. The one team is Charlotte, and I've talked about Charlotte in the past on here, but they don't have any, like, the one thing that's holding them back is they don't have any size. They don't have any centers. They don't have anybody who's going to clog the lineup, protect the rim, grab rebounds, do the dirty work. They have scoring and showstoppers and Concanopoulos, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo.
Yeah, I agree. Probably 10 to 20%. I think, but I'm more of a believer in the Wizards, actually.
Yeah, bigger believer in the Wizards and the Hornets. Love what they're doing. Ben, what? How about you? What percentage would you put on those three teams surprising?
Well, for the Wizards, it'd be like 10 to 20% of that. And I mean, the Wizards and the Nets, I mean, the teams, they should just try to be bad, look to develop young players and get a good lottery pick. I mean, it'd be stupid that somehow made like the in-season tournament because like it's just like need to get good draft pick stairs stuff in order to improve for the future. Then with the Hornets on this, I'm more of a believer of them. I would say like 30 to 40% something range. They could possibly get like 30 plus wins because like look, you got LaMelo and Brandon Miller, and those guys stay healthy. I believe they could have great seasons, and I like Knipple. I think he'll fit in well and will be a pretty good guy in the off the catch shoot for them at times. And I just think, I mean, I don't be too surprised if the Hornets just somehow got over like 30 wins, got in the 30 win range actually, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see about any of that happening throughout the season. I guess I'll go next year since Nick took Joey's question. I'll go with Nick's question here. Obviously, we're in October still. What is the most anticipated October game? So essentially, the most anticipated game of the first 2 weeks of the season for you guys. This could be any game for any reason in particular. What is the game you're most looking forward to here in the first couple of weeks of the season? Joey, how about you?
I'm sorry, but how it's got to be the first regular season game, opening game. Houston Rockets at OKC, getting their rings, getting that banner with Kevin Durant on the other sideline watching. and having to cheer for that absolute cinema. I'm sorry. It's got to be the best game. I know there's injuries. I know you said J-Dub's going to be out, but, like, still. This is our first time going to be seeing the Rockets, KD watching that, Thunder starting their title defense. Like,
Who do you guys have in that one?
I don't see them losing on ring night. Not with KD there. I think the ownership and Sam Presti are like, you guys better put it all on the line tonight.
I think the Thunder will win still.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this, but I think the Thunder will win actually by a lot. I think they're going to win by double digits in this game. I think they're going to try to make a statement to start off their title defense.
It's interesting. Yeah, this is the first time we're going to see the Rockets and see how they're going to handle with no point guard or having Amin Thompson at point guard.
Yeah, we still don't know how they'll start. We don't know how the Thunder will play if Jalen Williams is out to start the season. Maybe they go big, then the Rockets go big. We'll see another former Thunder, Steven Adams, start with Şengün. They've been doing that in the preseason. They've been doing some crazy tall lineups this season. That seems to be the trend here to start this season, that the double big lineups are back. Like, it is insane, like, across the board. Like, we've been having like little hints of it over the last few years, obviously, as Cavs fans, with Mobley and Allen, Holmgren and Hartenstein last year for the Thunder. But this year, I think we're going to see it a whole lot more with the Rockets. Even Atlanta, I think, could do it with Porzingis and Okongwu. Dallas, obviously, with all the bigs that they have there. So I think the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson and Towns looks like that's how they're going to start. So the league is getting bigger. We're going back to the double bigs, which I think is very interesting. I guess quickly go off a tangent. What do you guys think about the league getting back to that kind of style? Joey, did you think that the league would get back to the double big so quickly, considering that it was only like a few years ago where small ball was like the big thing in the league? You needed to have a small ball death lineup in order to win.
Yeah, it makes sense though, because now with the inclusion of Victor Wembanyama, who is 7'5" and can shoot from 30+ feet, you kind of have to be big and to shoot. You have to have the stretch bigs, and that's the thing. That's why teams are going to the double big lineup, is because they'll either have a rim protector like us, Jared Allen, Mitchell Robinson, or Hartenstein, and then they'll have the other big, the power forward or whatever, Evan Mobley, Cat, Chet Holmgren, to stretch the floor a little bit. And then you have Dallas, who can literally have Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively and PJ Washington all in the starting lineup. And I don't know what you do to that.
Yeah, Ben, what do you think about the way that the league is shifting back to the double bigs?
It's interesting. I agree with Joey. It's making sense. Like, I think those double big lineups could, work good and better for teams. Say if you're playing the Nuggets too, trying to stop Jokic, we know how dominant he could be, and then, Victor Wembanyama in the league now too on the Spurs. He's huge, and I believe he's going to look dominant at times this year. And, I mean, could help to have the double big lineup matchup-wise, when playing other top contending teams doing the same kind of stuff. And decent amount of the top teams that I think will be top teams of the league this year will be running big lineups, and they'll help teams matchup wise, hopefully.
Yeah, Nick, anything to add about this double big conversation?
Super exciting. It's a very interesting time for basketball in general, and I'm super excited about the direction the game is going. Over the last 10 years, Steph Curry and the advent of the deep 3-point shot has just opened up the floor and made it all about space and being able to get into space to get the ball back out to the 3-point line. And for a while, the small ball thing was small equals versatile. Smaller guys can shoot better, smaller guys can attack space better. but the bigs are catching up, and the younger guys that I kind of tried to lead you guys into last episode, where we were talking about the different draft classes and rookies, and on whether or not you thought we'd continue, whether or not I thought it was a trend that we continue to talk about these young guys more and more as they enter the league and step into bigger roles and have bigger impacts. And I'm gonna go in a different direction here and try and just relate it back. But I was just out with a varsity scrimmage tonight in Mentor, and their varsity team is made up of freshmen and sophomores almost exclusively. They have 2 juniors and 2 seniors, and the rest are freshmen and sophomores, and they're going to be good. And it's very exciting because younger and younger and younger dudes are having more and more and more skills, and size doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you're 6'8" and young, you're going to have the same skill development as the 5'10" young guy too. Like, the bigger kids are getting trained the same way the smaller kids are, and the size is catching up to the small ball versatility and shooting. So it's just super exciting. I'm really excited by the direction of basketball right now.
Agreed. Like you said, they're catching up. Like all these guys, all these young guys, they're learning from the people ahead of them, and they're taking it on.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving moving on here for most anticipated October game. I'll go ahead here. Obviously, all of us as Cavs fans, I cannot wait for opening night against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden to begin the season between the two top teams in the East. We're going to have a question about those two in particular coming up next year. But if I'm going non-Cavs because they're, favorite team here, I actually am going to go with a league pass game that is occurring on Monday that kind of goes hand in hand with the discussion we just had with the Thunder going to Dallas to take on the Mavericks for the first time this season. Because over the last couple of years, the Thunder have struggled the most with a bunch of size in the paint. We saw that in the 2020 in their first playoff appearance when they lost to Dallas in the second round, and even last year. They were 0-3 against the Mavericks in their first 3 matchups of the season there, with Luka had missing some of the games there. And now the Mavericks have obviously gone all in on being super big. So I'm very curious to see if they continue to go with Cooper Flag at point guard, if they end up doing that to start the season and in this matchup, how the Thunder are going to handle that situation, or if the Mavericks can take advantage of them, or if the Thunder, are really, able to take advantage of the size there as well, because of how disastrous it was for Dallas after they made the trade. Again, we were never really able to see the full potential of how it could work against the best teams in the league. The only time we got to see it was that first half against the Rockets, where it looked really good. This is going to be our first chance of seeing it against a great OKC team defending a championship. So I'm really excited to see how those two teams go at it on the first Monday of the season.
Yeah, who do you got in that one, Miles?
Yeah, that I honestly have no idea in that one. I might go Mavs just to begin, because I think that they're gonna, I think they're gonna have an identity set out pretty early on. If they go big, I think they're gonna try and stick to that as much as possible. As Joey leaves us once again. Nick, how about you? What is your most anticipated October game?
Well, we do have a finals rematch very early on in the season. On the 23rd, we have the Thunder once again traveling to Indiana, obviously without Tyrese Halliburton, but that's going to be a huge game. Both the teams talk about having something to play for. The Clippers and the Nuggets played a preseason game earlier this week, and that was described as being game 8 of last year's playoff series in the first half, because those guys were competing with everything that they had just to prove their point from the hangover the last season. So that could be a similar situation out there in Indy during the first week. And then the other one, keeping on the Rockets, we have a twin matchup with the Rockets heading to Detroit. Detroit heading to Houston, also on the same night, the 23rd. So a couple games to watch out for that night. The last one I'll mention is the Bucks, because the Bucks start off with a couple cupcakes. They play Washington on opening night, and then they go to Toronto. Should be able to pick up some wins there, but then they got to they host Cleveland the night after, and then they go to the Garden to play the Knicks. So they start off 0-4 with 2 losses or they start off 0-2 against Washington and Toronto. They got to host Cleveland and then go to New York. So that's just a really interesting opening week to keep your eye on for the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm expecting a 1-3 start. I think they only beat the Wizards. I know I'm the lowest on the Bucks, obviously, but I don't like. I think the Raptors are going to take care of business in that game. Cavs, Knicks, good luck. But definitely some good games to watch out for. Ben, how about you?
So my pick was on the second day of the season, and it's the Spurs versus the Dallas Mavericks. I can't wait for this one. I am believers in both of those teams going into the year, and I'm intrigued by those teams, and I'm really excited that they get the face off on both teams' first game against one another. And we'll get Cooper Flag versus Dylan Harper, the two top picks this year's draft, going out of that game right off the bat. That's really exciting. Along with Wemby going up against Cooper Flag and Anthony Davis and the Mavericks. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm intrigued and interested in seeing how it's going to go between Wemby and then Dallas and their big man lineup at opening night. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm, interested to seeing just how will the Spurs point guards of Fox and Harper do with trying to get the ball to Wemby and score around a tall Dallas lineup that they're going to be running. And I think both of those games will be I think both of those teams will be hungry to try and win that game and make a statement in that one. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Dallas right there. That's exactly what Joey needed. Is the internet and Dallas market? It's been a rough one for Joey here today.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what's going on today, man.
But we are fighting through this one. Yeah, so many good games in October. None of us even mentioned the Lakers Warriors on opening night, which is always a treat. Of course, LeBron is out, but still going to get to see Luka versus Steph. In a fun matchup between two teams there that are pretty close to each other in the Western Conference standings potentially. I mean, again, for these West teams, these early matchups are so important. Like we talked about in the last episode or a couple episodes ago when we were talking about LeBron being out. The Lakers play the Timberwolves like twice in the first 5 games of the season, and that could determine who would win a tiebreaker at the end of the season. So all these games matter so much in the Western Conference, especially. Ben, let's go to your next question here.
So my next question is, who's under more pressure to win the East, the Cavs or the Knicks?
Yeah, so this is a question that we have talked about on this podcast before when we did the preview of the Atlantic Division, talking about the New York Knicks. And I've switched up my stance on it. In that video, I said the Knicks. I'm going with the Cavs. We talked about it one of the previous episodes, who has the most pressure in the league. I do think it is the Cleveland Cavaliers, because I think they are the only team in the league that has these championship, expectations here. I mean, they're the second favorite to win the title. They're the only championship contender here that I think if they aren't able to get it done, we're going to see some changes made to the roster because it has been continued, disappointments in the playoffs, although last year was the first time they were really contending. And I know they're coming in with injuries. The Knicks, are coming in healthy. That's why I think the Knicks will finish higher in the regular season. But when it comes to playoff time, I still think the Cavs have more advantages over the Knicks, over a lot of teams in the East, because they're so talented. They're great on both ends of the floor. We could potentially have, Evan Mobley jumping up to superstar status if he continues to play like he has in the preseason. So with the way that things are going, the Cavs, I think, have the most pressure to win the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah, I don't think I can add much to that. Couldn't have said it better myself, other than the fact that they also are spending the most money in the entire league. So if there wasn't enough pressure, then that's just some added pressure.
That's exactly what I was going to add to. I was like, I also think it's the Cavs just because, not to mention just the championship aspirations, like you were saying, Miles, but the money thing. Like, if this doesn't work, everything's going to have to change because we have no more money. We have no more money. Everyone, you come to the media and probably the common folk of the fans of the NBA, they'll probably all say the Knicks just because it's New York, and everyone's seeing the graphic all over every sports page now that it's been over 5,000 days since a New York team has won a championship. So I know the pressure is on New York City as a whole, but in NBA terms, it's got to be the Cavs.
Yeah, most likely. Although I will say money, that's never going to be a problem with Dan Gilbert is the owner. They'll always, be willing to spend money into the tax and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you're that deep into the second apron, I mean, you better be contending, and they definitely are. They definitely do have a great talented team, and they should be in that higher echelon with the New York Knicks. And I do think the Knicks do have some pressure because, like you said, Joey, they are in New York, and it's been a while since they made it to the finals. Last year, things ended up breaking great for them. Weren't able to get through, the Pacers in the conference finals. But I think if they're not able to get it done this year, you'll be able to say it's year one with Mike Brown, and then be able to go from there. But Ben, what do you think about this for your own question? Most pressure to win the East, Cavs or Knicks?
Yeah, I think both teams are under a good amount of pressure, but I think the Knicks are under a bit more because last year, they lost to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Both teams badly need to try to make the finals and win it, but I just think, the Knicks, they fired Tom Thibodeau after that Pacers series, and they hired Mike Brown. I mean, you got to really hope you can somehow win the Eastern Conference Finals, at least prove under that. Hopefully, Mike Brown's first year at coach, and the Knicks, they're also, I mean, a bit older as a team than the Cavs, even though, I mean, those guys, have some years still up, but a bit older team, and Knicks, they've been knocking on the doorstep for years, and the East is as good as it was the past few years, and I just think they really need to take advantage of it this year, and are really under the pressure to do so. Since I think the East will just get more competitive next season after this year.
Yeah, and definitely a lot deeper. This season, I mean, they do have a great roster. I mean, I think they could be a championship caliber roster. I mean, I think there are a lot of teams that could be when we get to the next question here, when we get to our finals predictions. I'm expecting to hear a lot of different teams here, especially when we get into our bold finals takes here. But with that, I mean, they are deeper, but there is a little hole there now with their backup point guard position because Malcolm Brogdon, who recently signed there, randomly announced his retirement a couple days ago. We can talk about that, a little quickly here. Joey, what were your thoughts on that? I mean, this came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere, but solid career. I'm not surprised though, just because there are still some level-headed guys in the NBA like him who are like, yeah, made my money, took care of my family, did what I kind of needed to do. Don't really need to force it. Kind of want to enjoy the next part of my life. Like, I don't blame him. You see it all the time in the NFL, obviously more injury-related usually, but I look at it as kind of the same thing. 9-year career, former Rookie of the Year, right?
And
So,
Rookie of the Year and six man.
Yeah, good career. Can't knock him. Great career, man. Love it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that'll be something to watch with the Knicks, though, because now the guy who was expected to be, a veteran backup point guard presence is now suddenly not there. So it's going to be Tyler Kolek, second-year guy who I think could have potential but unproven. Deuce McBride will play more backup point guard there instead of, off ball as a shooter. So it'll be interesting to see how the Knicks will adjust. now. I mean, it's not a major thing, but something that could matter as far as their second unit goes. But again, congratulations to Malcolm Brogdon on a solid career there. I believe it's the lowest draft pick to win Rookie of the Year. I think it was the 36th pick when he won it. I'll tell you what, it makes me feel, a little old that he is retiring because he won Rookie of the Year in the first year that I really started watching basketball. So I'm like, wow, that's crazy. 9-year career he's already done. But
see, that's the funny thing, because the first player I vividly remember, and when I first started paying attention, was LeBron, and he still hasn't retired yet. So I still don't feel that old, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's right. But this is up there with Darren Collison as one of the most random retirement announcements in history. But congrats again, Malcolm Brogdon, on a solid career. But now let's lead that into the big question of them all here, our 2026 NBA Finals predictions occurring in the preseason. Now, gonna do something different this year. So we're gonna have 2 predictions, each of us. One actual prediction of what we actually think is going to happen,
Which
and then
will be the same for everybody.
Okay, we'll see. And then a bold prediction of what on something crazy that could happen. Again, last year the Pacers made the finals. No one had that happening at the start of the season. The year before, the Mavericks made it. No, not many people had that. I mean, there's been a very unexpected opponent there every single year. Last year, most of us had the Thunder versus the Celtics, and obviously half of that came true. So we'll see. I mean, the Thunder, as we've talked about, Thunder coming in here as defending champions. We have not seen a defending champion make it past the second round since the Warriors during their dynasty years. So interested to hear if you guys have the Thunder here, if that little streak is going to end this year. Ben, let's start off with you. What are your finals predictions for this season?
So my actual finals prediction is I got the Thunder beating the Knicks in the finals. It was tough, but I have the Thunder going back to back. I think, I was thinking of it like, comparing the Thunder back to like some previous teams, who've like just won titles recently before them. I think, well, the Thunder, I mean, they're young, man, they can grow even more this year, and they're so talented as a roster. I mean, I think like this is like the best team to have a chance to like go back to back, like the Warriors back in like their dynasty days, and I just think the Thunder are just great at all sorts of different things, and I think Chet will be looking super good at times this year, playing super good defense. I think he's gonna do some good stuff offensively, and I think the Thunder like can handle the Knicks at like 5 games in the finals. I think the Thunder match up really good against the Knicks if they were to play them in the finals, like I'm predicting or gonna. But the Knicks, it was tough between them and the Cavs, who I think could actually make the finals out of the East. I hope the Cavs, obviously, but I picked the Knicks because Brunson, he could be a clutch player. I believe in him to do super good things. I trust great stuff out of Brunson, and I think Mike Brown's going to run some great stuff there, especially offensively, and I think Cat will step it up a bit more, do enough to help them get into the finals, and the Knicks will actually have a good bench this year that I think will help them in the finals.
All right, I guess, yeah, I like it. So let's go across with our actual predictions, then we'll go with the bold ones later on. So Joey, how about you?
For my actual one, I don't have either of those teams. I have the Nuggets beating the Cavs in the finals this year.
I have the reverse. I have the Cleveland Cavaliers beating the Denver Nuggets in the finals this year.
I am the same as Ben. I have Thunder over Knicks.
Okay, this is wow. So we have the same. Half of us have like opposite combination. That's fun.
We all have
I did
the
not
same 4
expect
teams,
that.
though.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, those are the top 4 favorites to win the title. Going there, I believe it's Thunder, Cavs, Nuggets, then the Knicks. But that I like it, Joey. Why do you have the Nuggets beating the Thunder?
Me having
Like
the Nuggets over the
the Nuggets. Yeah, I guess they would probably beat the Thunder or the Nuggets making it to the finals, coming out of the Western Conference.
I don't know. I think Jokic is the best player on the planet until he proves me otherwise. And he's actually got a team around him. Their team's got depth. They got somebody like Valanciunas to play his position for him to come out. And this might be the first time in history where every time Jokic is subbed out, it's not going to be like negative plus minus by like double digits for every 2 minutes that he's taking out. Like that's kind of how it was, and I think that's just what's always differentiated them from everybody else is that like over the last many years is every time you take Jokic out, whether it's for 5 or 10 minutes, you're automatically down by like 20 to 30. And then he comes in and you're up by 4 or you're up by 10. Like it's just how that goes.
Yeah, definitely agree with the Nuggets. I think they could definitely come out of the Western Conference. That's who I've got as my actual prediction. Cavs coming out of the East. I think that I don't know how well the Knicks roster will perform in a playoff situation. I think there are a lot of teams that can expose, particularly Karl Anthony Towns again in a playoff situation. And the depth players, I like the depth for the regular season. But I think like the Jordan Clarksons, the Yabuselis of the world, the Josh Harts, as we saw in last year's playoffs, think they could all get exposed. Even Mitchell Robinson, if teams go back to the hack of Robinson, could get exposed a bit. I think they have a lot of questions as far as when you get into a playoff series, what you can do about them. For the Cavs, I feel like it's health. If they are healthy, I think they could definitely get it done. That's why I have them winning the championship 10 years after winning their previous championship. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I love the parity. I mean, having all these different teams that could, win the finals, come out of each conference, and then winning the finals. But our bold predictions for the finals, Ben, let's start with you once again. Who is your bold take for who's going to come out of each conference?
Okay. This will be fun. In the East, yeah. In the East, I mean, you guys have seen me kind of doubt this team before. I just think they'll take some more time to figure out the regular season. I think you guys have figured it out by now. I think the Hawks is a dark horse because they kind of remind me of the Pacers from last year. Like, I think maybe Trae Young, he could just be like ice Trae in some playoff games, knock down some clutch shots, kind of like what Halliburton did last year. That could maybe give them some great momentum, and they somehow surprise us. And I mean, I like Porzingis. We've seen he's been, when healthy, a great, competitive player in like the postseason for Celtics. He understands more on how to win now, and they got all different guys who have all different good skill sets. They got like defenders who can be feisty, get some good steals. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Hawks event in the West. There's some different options I could go with, but I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Clippers. And
We're that close. I thought you were gonna go with the Spurs.
no, not yet with them. But yeah, I like the Spurs, but I got the Clippers in here because I mean, look, guys are getting old, getting up there. They're under a lot of pressure this year, especially when they get the playoff time to try and make a far deep run. And I'm thinking, well, they could be healthy possibly, and if they are healthy, I think they'll be a scary team. They got veterans who know how to win, Like Kawhi's won a couple championships. He's going to be hungry to try to get over the hump. I still think he can be great this year. James Harden's a great player. Chris Paul knows how to win. I would be really happy if the Clippers just somehow shocked us and Chris Paul had a chance to maybe win a finals finally. James Harden and the Clippers. I mean, they just got some of the best depth in the league. Ty Lue's won a title with the Cavs before. He's a great coach that knows what it takes to win, and they're good at all different positions. They're a loaded team. I mean, it would be disappointing if they didn't go far in the playoffs. The team they got this year.
Yeah, so the Clippers and the Hawks for Ben. I have the same thing. Clippers and Hawks is my two bold ones as well. We all know, I've been talking so highly of the Hawks since they made the moves in the offseason, and I absolutely agree. I think they can go on a Pacers type of run. I think they present a lot of the same things to the table as far as being able to just have a terrific defense and having one of the best passers in the league that can also hit clutch shots at an elite level. Think the Hawks can present some challenges to some other teams in the Eastern Conference, including the Cavs and the Knicks. And then in the West, Clippers as well. I think the Clippers are built for the playoffs. I've said in the regular season, I have them fourth in the West. I don't know if they'll finish. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish lower because they are an old team. I'm not sure if they'll be able to make it through a whole 82-game schedule. They're going to have to rest some guys. There's going to be a lot of load management games. So when you get into the playoffs, I love this team's chances against every other team in the NBA. So I think that the Clippers and the Hawks are the two dark horse teams in the NBA to make it to the finals.
Nick, what do you got?
I have the Dallas Mavericks. And I'll go with coming out of the East. I'll go with the Cavs just because it's my pick and I can do what I want with it.
Hold on. No, you can't. The dark horse is not the literal favorite to come out of the East.
You said a bold and a real. My real was Thunder Knicks. My bold is that the Cavs will beat the Knicks.
But that's not bold that the favorite team
It is very bold of Nick to choose the Cavs to make it to the finals. Let's be honest.
I mean,
I could go with what everybody else is going to say is the Hawks.
No.
Or make a case for the Magic and say that Franz is going to be better. But I'd rather explain why I have the Knicks as being able to beat the Cavs and why I think the Cavs beating them would be bold. Because I think the second punch, like in order for the Cavs to beat the Knicks in a 7-game series, Donovan has to be the best player on the court for at least 4 of the games. I would argue to bargain. And I think Kat and Jalen are very much able to take that away from him over the course of a 7-game series where they're the best player on the court for 3 or 4 games. And then, honestly, to me, it comes down to the second punch. I know you said Josh Hart isn't a great playoff player, Mitch Hacker-Robinson. I think OG, McHale, Hart, and Robinson are a better second punch than the Cavs have to offer after Donovan and Nevin. So that would be my take as to why the Cavs making the finals would be bold. And like I said, it's my pick. I can do what I want with it. So Mavericks have the deepest unit, I think, deepest roster in the league. And if they can get Kyrie back around December, around January, even as late as February, that's 2-3 months of him getting back into form, getting the guys all in step with him and how he's going to play. And, you got a lot of finals experience on this roster as well. So even if they finish 8th or 9th, like I have them in my Western Conference predictions, just getting to the final or getting to the playoffs might be enough for them to make a run.
I like that pick. I almost picked Dallas as well, actually.
Yeah, definitely could be possible.
Yeah. My bold is very bold.
The Kings.
No, definitely not the Kings. Hold on. I'm not that crazy. In honor of our good friend Jackson Goglin, I will choose the Houston Rockets. And also I'm just going to call it the Jackson Goglin Finals. I'm going to have it going to be the Houston Rockets versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think it's going to be just absolutely incredible. Because if we're talking about like the absolute potential of it going in the right direction for the Sixers, it could have just been a year gap where last year they tried to make all these moves and it just absolutely blew up in their face. But this year, Embiid healthy, come back to MVP. Paul George realizes he does have some coordination and actually can play basketball still. Jared, and if everybody else play, it could happen. It could happen. And obviously Houston, they're a really good team. Who knows?
No, when you said the Jackson Goglin special, I thought you were going to say the Magic.
Nope.
All right, not bad. I like it. Definitely, definitely.
Three-point shooting like the Sixers could.
Yeah, very, very true. So there are our official NBA Finals predictions. Some bolder than others for the bold takes, but our actual ones out there as well. But yeah, those are all of our burning questions for the NBA season that is starting on Tuesday. Cannot wait.
Put a bow
Yes,
on
sir. The offseason is now officially complete on the podcast, and now we can start officially previewing, predicting, and going over actual live regular season basketball games that matter. Cannot wait for it to start. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
Call in the internet company first thing in the morning.
Nice.
No question about it. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Thank you so much for watching again. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.